Hi, everyone, and welcome back. I'm excited that we're about to be starting another year together for most of you. I hope that you were excited with the kind of last minute change that there was to the teaching situation for AP US history. So that was kind of a last minute thing. It's only happened about 2 weeks ago that I was assigned to teach this class, and I'm very excited about it. I hope you are too. We get to spend another, well, not year together, but semester. And if you're wondering, I have taught this class before. It has been a long time. I'll admit that. It's probably been maybe about 10 years. But content doesn't change. Other things do. And so there's a lot of, things about the exam and the formatting and all that kind of stuff that I'm getting familiar with. So we're doing some learning together. But you guys know me, and you know that I will not ever come in here or on the computer or whatever unprepared. Excited to start working with you guys again. So the purpose of this hopefully quick video, I'm going to try to keep it kind of short. You guys know I like to talk. Was to go over the basic expectations for remote learning, because as we all know, we will be starting the year remotely, and that will be going on until at least September. And even then, it will be an alternating day situation. So some of you will be coming into the school building while others of you are still at home that day, and then it swaps around. So that will happen till at least October. So we are looking at some form of virtual learning going on for probably the first 9 weeks. And also, as we all have found out over the past 6 months or so, that the only thing that's definite right now is that things will definitely change. And, we hope that's what's going to happen, but we know it may not happen that way. We may have to stay remote longer than we think. It's also possible that we may come back and then have to go back to remote after a while. So we know that this is a reality in our lives these days. So we need to kind of know what the plan is, what the expectations are, because it is quite different than it was in the spring. And that's part of what I want to impart to you today and make sure we're clear on is what the differences are between the remote learning that we're planning to implement right now versus the remote learning that we implemented last spring. So this little infographic, I guess, this little Google drawing that you see before you, which is in Google Classroom, you can access it there. You can print a copy if you want to, but you don't need to. Kind of goes over my basic expectation and plans. Obviously, when we come back to in-person learning, there's a whole nother wealth of policies and procedures and stuff that many of you actually already know now, but we'll talk about those things later. This is kind of a shorter, quicker, remote learning version of that. So you can see here kind of the general expectations. One, everything is going to be done with Google Classroom. We already know how Google Classroom works. Everybody ought to be fairly well versed in it. We had been using it in my class, relatively regularly before the shutdown happened. So we shouldn't have any issues with Google Classroom. But of course, feel free to email me with any questions that you have. And a great resources to use for Google Classroom is Google itself and YouTube to figure out how to do things if you're not sure how to do something. Now, here's a big difference between what we're planning to do right now versus what happened in the spring. And that is that you will need to log into Google Classroom, view necessary videos, get necessary notes, and complete necessary assignments daily. In the spring, it was beginning of the week, I threw out 2 quick and easy things to you, and you had the rest of the week to get it done. And even then, the exact due dates times were, kind of loose as far as even if it was late, I kind of had to take it. Sometimes even weeks late, I kind of had to take it. And we couldn't really penalize you all that much if stuff didn't get turned in at all. That is no longer the case. The idea here is that we're going to try to make this as much or as high of a standard as if you were in the classroom, as if you were physically in the building. So you will have to log in daily. And I do mean daily because we're now, as you probably know, on a traditional block schedule, which means that classes meet daily. No more black and silver days, no more alternating. So you will come to me, and if we were, meeting, and once we are meeting in the building, it'll be every day, but then you'll be done in December, and then, the class will be over and you'll get new classes in January. So it is a daily expectation. It'll be more to do. It is going to take up more of your time. It's not just kind of going through the motions so we can finish up the school year and say we're done. We do have serious objectives and standards that we need to meet, and we're going to try to meet those the best that we can. So much more rigorous. Assignments have to be completed in Google Classroom on time. There will be penalties for not turning things in on time or not turning them in at all. So make sure that you are prepared for that. Just realize that this is a very different situation than what you saw in the spring. Now, as far as live online instruction, you're not going to have like a set time you have to log in to listen to me talk. All that's going to be pre-recorded, just like it was in the spring. However, there are going to be some opportunities for us to have interaction if it becomes necessary, if you need it and if you want it. Those will not be required. But basically, what we have are Zoom office hours. So that is a time that I will be on a Zoom meeting, and you can jump in anytime you like during that time if you want to ask a question, if you need help with something, if you just want to have an interaction, discussion, whatever. But that is optional. You don't have to get into those. You can see those times on the middle of the screen there. The link to that Zoom meeting will be in Google Classroom all the time. And that for you guys, for your class, that will be on Monday and Wednesdays from 3 until 3:30, all times being Eastern, of course. Then on Fridays from 2:30 to 3:30. Now, the reason for the difference on Monday and Wednesday, that 30-minute block on Monday and Wednesday, that is just for your class. That is just for AP US History 11th grade. Friday, I'm opening up to all of my classes, which includes you guys, but it also includes the honors 10th grade class that most of you were in last year, and it includes the AP Economics class that I hope some of you will take next year. So that one may be a little bit more crowded, and it may be a little bit, maybe not difficult, but you may have to wait for me to answer your question that's related to something, and I could be busy answering a question that's not related to anything that you're concerned about. I may be working an economics problem, but that's kind of the everybody jump in. I'll answer any questions that people may have. So that'll be going on as well. Other information that you have here on this sheet, the Google Classroom code, which you see both for the first semester class and the second semester class. You should already actually be in there. I'm intending on going ahead and adding you in there myself, and I think you just have to accept the invitation. But if you don't see that show up or something else weird happens, the code is right there for you to enroll. I've gone ahead and put that information in there for the second semester class, mainly for the summer assignment. I'm going to talk about summer assignment in a moment, but that's why the second semester folks, you're already up there and you're already being added. With the exception of the summer assignment, second semester people, once that's done, you're not going to need anything. You're not going to hear from me again until January, but that way it's already set up. The same is true for Remind. You can sign into the Remind. Please do that. You need to do that in this whole situation, and always. Again, the second semester folks, you probably will not hear from me on it until at least December, but it's there, and we've already taken care of that in case I do for some weird reason, if something crazy happens. Let me talk about a typical day of remote learning, kind of what the general expectation of what you're going to have to do every day. A lot of it is a little bit similar to how I did things last spring. So those of you that had me last year kind of already know how this will work. Material, the information, the content that you're going to have to be learning, that is going to be delivered with video PowerPoints, just like I did in the spring. So I'm working on converting all of those PowerPoints to videos where I go through the lecture and go through those notes, and you can pause it if you need to, and that's how you'll get your information. I will include specific areas that you need to hone in on where specific content is discussed if it relates to that assignment. So for example, one of the assignment you're going to have pretty early on is reading something called the Dawes Act. So I will tell you where in that video exactly the Dawes Act is discussed. So you can really look at that. That does not mean that I only want you looking at those parts. You do need to watch the entire videos. Yes, some of them are quite long. I know I made them. Yes, and it may take a while, but again, that's part of the rigor and the extra expectation. This is an AP class, guys. It is an AP class, and just because it's remote doesn't mean that it's not AP. So that is going to take up a lot of your time. I do expect that you try to take some notes. I don't expect those notes to maybe be quite as lengthy and detailed as they would be when it comes to in-person instruction, but you do need to be getting yourself back into that habit of note-taking, and you're going to want those notes to study for the AP exam and to be prepared for everything that's coming. Then you will have assignments to do. So you've got to go through the content, get your notes and everything, and then you will have some kind of assignment every single day. Now, I don't intend that to be a super lengthy assignment every single day. Some days, at least, once or twice a week, that may be something as simple as, a little exit question, what's something you learned today, or define this real quick and easy, just so it's kind of like a quick check-in. But you will also have 2 or 3 times a week something more rigorous, whether that is discussion questions, AP-style short answer questions. You may have primary sources and documents to analyze. I may send you off to another website to do some kind of activity or other kinds of things. I'll try to change it up, but something a little bit more substantial than just a give me 3 facts or something like that. And most of that stuff and all that, go ahead and assume it will all be graded. And then, of course, drop by virtually if you like, and if you need to. And that does give us some face-to-face interaction, and that's always great and does enhance the experience. So that's kind of the expectation, is that every day there will be some kind of notes to look at, or a PowerPoint video to watch. All of those will be on YouTube. I'll link them in Google Classroom, but something you're going to have to hand in each day that we count as attendance. So you cannot leave this stuff to the end of week. You have to be doing it every single day, just as you have to be doing your work every single day as if you were in the classroom. Going back to the rigor and the higher expectation this time around, that part that I've got right there in the center in the box, remember that it is absolutely your responsibility to log into Google Classroom every single day to check email, school email, and you need to start making sure you are using your official school email as your official correspondence with all of your teachers from here on out. And you need to be checking that regularly. And when I say regularly, I mean at least twice a day, in the morning and the afternoon at the very least. You need to be checking your remind messages. You need to make sure that your remind is not silenced or muted or something like that, because it is your responsibility to know what's going on. It's my job to put it out there to you. It's my job to communicate with you on my end, but you have to meet me halfway there. As I have there, claiming that you didn't know about something will not be an excuse. I got that several times last semester, and again, last semester, or last 9 weeks was crazy, and it was an unusual situation, and we kind of had to just take it as it went. But I got a lot of, well, I didn't know this had been assigned. I didn't know that we were supposed to be doing anything. It's your job to know. From this point forward, it's your job to find out. If you're not sure, ask. And that's not just because we're doing remote learning right now. That's not just because of this whole pandemic situation. That is just 21st century student life. And particularly when you go to college, and you all are going to be in college now about 2 years from now, that's going to be the expectation that your college teachers are going to have. They're going to communicate with you via email. They're going to communicate with you electronically most of the time. And it is the expectation that you will be the ones to initiate that contact, that you will find out what is going on, not wait for someone to force you to do it. So make sure you realize that yes, there's plenty of burden on me to do plenty of things, but some of that is on you as well, to find out what's going on, to know what's coming up next, to know when things are due, and to find a way to get it done. So make sure you're staying on top of that, and just make sure you understand what your responsibilities are. Now, let me talk about summer assignment. Summer assignment, I am keeping the same summer assignment that Miss Chancey had assigned you. Many of you had gotten enrolled in a Google Classroom for her for summer assignment. You got your summer assignment that way. Great. If you didn't, you need to figure that out right now. Get into the Google Classroom that I set up. If you're still in the one for Miss Chancey, that's fine. And if you turned it in there already, that's fine too. I'll accept it either way. But you need to get into the Google Classroom that I have set up, or accept the invitation that I have sent you. That summer assignment is there. It consists of 2 parts, and all of the documents that she had put up there, I have reposted in the new official Google Classroom. And please understand, I'm talking here both to first and second semester students. I'll get to that point in a moment. The summer assignment consists of 2 parts. One is some note cards. There's a list there of 200 items that came from the 10th grade material, most of which I taught you. There's a handful there that we didn't go over, but 200 things that you're going to make note cards out of. In the instructions, there are specifics about what has to be on them, how they have to look, and how they have to be turned in. We will use those note cards throughout the semester, and especially for you guys in the first semester, in the spring, when you need to keep refreshing yourself about what all that information is, so that you're ready for the AP exam. So I think that's a great idea for a summer assignment. So we're definitely going to keep that. Plus, a lot of you had already probably started on it by now, or maybe even finished it. So the note cards are one thing. The second thing is an essay, a free response question. There's a question in those instructions about the Articles of Confederation. You can use your 10th grade notes. You may use internet sources, but you must write it yourself. You cannot write it together. You cannot copy something off the internet, and you cannot copy each other. It does have to be your own work. Now, so those 2 parts, the essay, the note cards. The essay is going to be turned in via Google Classroom. Use the Google Classroom that I've invited you to, or I've added you to, or you can also use the old one that Miss Chancey had set up. Either one is fine. If you ask my preference, it would be the newer one that I set up and invited you to. So there's that. That is due the first day of school by the end of the school day, which is August 17th. It's my birthday. You guys can give me a birthday present of an essay to read. So that one is due in Google Classroom. You can type it and upload your document. You can handwrite it and upload pictures. It does not matter, but make sure it's legible either way. And that is due the first day of school. That is for everyone, not just the first semester students. As of right now, I am saying that even the second semester students will turn in summer assignments on the first day of school, because that's what the original instructions were. And that is also, so that's what you should have been planning on up until now. And also that prevents you from having to hang on to it. I hate asking people to hang on to things for a long time. So we're going to go ahead. Everybody turns it in, even though those of you in the second semester are not going to see a grade for that until January. It will already be turned in. Note cards. Okay. Note cards. I'm not going to ask you to turn those in digitally, because that would mean taking a picture of 200 note cards, and that's a little crazy. So note cards, everybody has to do them, of course, but those are not going to be due until you are physically back on campus, which, as we know, our target date for that is September 9th. If that date gets pushed back, then the due date gets pushed back. So it will just be whenever that happens to be. I would go ahead and just assume for yourself that it's September 9th until we know differently. And then, if it takes longer than that, it takes longer than that. Also realize that for some of you, that will actually be September 10th, because when we do come back to campus, it will be on an alternating situation where, like, part of you will come in one day, the other part of you will come in the next day. So some of you will be do that second time. Once again, that is for first and second semester students. So even though second semester students will not be coming into my classroom for class at that time, you will still need to swing by on that day, whenever that day is, and turn in those note cards. I'll have a box or something outside my door so that you don't have to even come in or knock on the door or anything if you don't want to, but everybody has to turn those in, first and second semester students alike, okay? So essay due August 17th for everyone in Google Classroom. Note cards due September 9th, we hope, for everyone, but those will be physically turned in, because that's a little bit more tedious, a lot more tedious, to turn in virtually. So that is the plan with the summer assignment. If you have questions about it, please feel free to email me, hit me up on Remind, whatever you need to do. Happy to answer any questions that you might have. So once again, I'm excited about a new year. I keep saying, this is certainly not the way I wanted things to start, but it's what I will take. And I will be grateful for every day that we get, whether it be virtual or not. I'm learning that we just got to take everything as it comes, take it one day at a time, be ready for things to change, because it most certainly will. But to be grateful for what we do have, and to, I'm not going to go, I wish we had this and I wish it was like that, because it isn't. It just isn't, and it's not going to be. So to try to take joy and enjoy what we do have, like I said. So looking forward to seeing you guys, certainly in person, but we'll take seeing you virtually for a while, and hopefully we're going to learn a lot this year. We're all going to learn a lot this year, and just enjoy being together. So have a great rest of your summer, and we'll see you guys soon.